Let's go ahead and get started. And let's begin by opening two images in our working folder called Straighten 1 PSD and Straighten 2 PSD. We have already looked at and explored in the chapter on RAW, working with straightening and cropping. Let's see how Photoshop handles those same problems. So in Straighten 1, the first one, we want to crop some of the image down to kind of focus maybe more on the builders and the bridge, and we want to straighten out the bridge. We want the bridge to be straight. That's our goal. So how do we do that? Well, number one, go over and select this tool right here. That's the cropping tool. It will automatically put a bounding box around the image for you, and we can commence with whatever we want to start with. I would suggest cropping. So go to a corner, maybe come up this way, and go to another corner. In other words, we are in free transform here. We can do anything we want to the image. Once we get that part done, we can get inside of it and move it around, which I do like. What you're looking at here is this grid, and you can change the grid by coming up here to this button and choosing, say, the rule of thirds, diagonals, whatever you want. It's how we perceive the objects as we're cropping. And you can actually get more information on different ways to use those on the internet. This button over here, if you click it, gives you more options on cropping. Like, do you want to use the classic mode? That's the older version mode. No, I don't. I like using the newer version, where it shows cropped areas and auto-centers the preview. We have a crop shield. That's this right here. If you don't want that, you can turn it off. You can change the color of the crop shield and its opacity, all from there. This one over here, delete crop pixels, is important. If you leave it on when we enable the crop, it will throw away all this stuff that's around it. And most of the time, that's probably what you want. But if you turn that off, understand, you can come back a week later and it will still be there. Now, the disadvantage to that is obvious. If you're cropping down really small and you forget to do that, you'll have an image with a larger file size that you really don't need because you intended to crop that stuff out. So I usually leave that one on. If you come over to ratio, you can change into particular ratio, like you want to draw a square or a 5:7. You can even change to different ratios along with resolutions if you want to, and you can make your own right down here. We'll leave that where it is for now and just play around. We can change the ratio in here if you want to, like a 1:1 ratio, which would be a square. You type in 1 and 1. If you don't want to use that type of ratio, you can click clear right here and it will clear these out. Here's the straighten option. We want to straighten the bridge out. So we select it at the same time we're cropping and draw ourselves a line just like that. Now notice it begins to straighten the image out. We still now have the ability to change where we want things, and you will notice that when you do a straighten, now we don't have any problem because we're cropping in, but you can see up here how it's losing a lot of information because it has to rotate it. What I usually really encourage my students to do if they know they're going to have to do rotation or straightening is to make sure when you take the photograph, you got enough stuff going around the image to take care of the part it's going to lose. Let's say we like that. We go ahead and double click. Okay, there it is. But you know what the problem is? I got the bridge straight, but now the house is leaning over. Now that's dealing more with perspective. Let's go ahead and deal with that problem in the next image. Go to Straighten 2. In this one, if you have the crop tool selected, you'll see the crop going around it. This one has a tremendous angle. If I pick up the crop tool and pick up the straighten tool and say all I really have to do here is just straighten this out, and you click here and you double click, the problem is we still have an angle here and over here. It's dealing with perspective on how the photograph was shot. What I would like to do is try as much as possible to get those angles square. So let's go into our history. If you don't see history, go up to the word window to find it. And I'm going to go back to this button right here, which takes us back to the way we were. No matter where you are in the process on this image, if you want to start all over again, you don't have to quit and don't save. Just click that button. What we're going to do is change tools. Click on this one here and hold, and you will see the perspective crop tool. And when you do, you get a big old grid on the image after we just drag the whole thing. And there's our grid. Now what I want to do is see if I can get the angles, both angles, squared out. So I'm going to pull this down for a minute to about here. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to drag down until I've got that angle. That looks pretty good. Maybe just a little bit more. I'm going to pull it back up again. Now on this one, same idea. I'm going to come over here. It just makes it easier for me to see that angle. You don't really have to do this. Let's go ahead and replicate that angle to the best of our abilities and then pull that back, unless you want it cropped out to this. Now in this case, I'm going to pull that up a little bit. We're going to lose this area, obviously, in this and all those others. But if I double click, as you can see, it's straightened out both of those angles. If you're looking for more of a creative way to change or straighten an image out, and you need perspective change, then you have a tool for that too. So cropping, straightening, or perspective is all very easy, all found in this one tool area right here.